How's it going, all you cool cats and kins? It's Ranger Paul, aka Sir Hikeslot, aka the Ranger with the coolest hat. And I'm coming at you today with your 10 hiking essentials. Now I know that we're living in some crazy times, but that does not mean you can't get out and enjoy our beautiful parks and trails that Pueblo has to offer you. Now I'm gonna be starting off with our big three, and I'm not talking about LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Instead, I'm talking about food, water, and first aid. Our first essential that we're talking about is water. A good rule of thumb is for every hour that you're hiking, you want about 32 ounces of water. That's about one big Gatorade bottle of water. Now, if you're hiking longer, you're probably gonna want to take more water. If you're hiking shorter times, you probably want to stick with that 32 ounces of water. That's gonna be your bare minimum. Now, a lot of hikers think that if they find a running stream, that's a good source of clean water. That's actually a very common misconception. It's a lie. A lot of the time that could have a lot of bacteria as well as parasites in there that we can't see. So if you do want to drink some stream water, there's two things that you can do. You can either boil that water for 15 minutes, or you can get some handy dandy iodine pills from your local Walmart, drop a couple of those in a water bottle, and that will clean the water for you. Now, our second essential item is snacks. Many a hiker get hungry when they're out on the trails, and it's important to feed that hunger. Now, some good snacks to have are something that are very healthy with lots of carbohydrates and protein. For example, we got some nuts right here, some dried raisins, as well as some almonds. All of these are great examples of some healthy snacks that you can have out there on the trail. There's lots of different kinds, but always remember, it's better to bring too much than too little. And then at the end of the day, you got something for the car ride home. Now, rounding up our big three essential items, we're gonna do a first aid kit. Now, this first aid kit doesn't have to be too complicated, but it should have the basics, such as Band-Aids, gauze, alcohol swabs, and anything else you might think comes in handy. Now, mine I made from home, but you can find something like this very cheap at your local Walmart, or you can do the same as me and kind of gather stuff around your house to make your own. Now, moving away from our big three essential items, we're gonna go cover some lesser known essential items. First off being sun protection. Now, sun protection takes its forms in many different items, such as hats, like a cowboy hat, a baseball cap, or for some of our more adventurous hikers, even a sombrero. Now, all of these cover my head and my face from the deadly UV rays, but I also need protection for my eyes, so that's where handy dandy sunglasses come in. And then lastly, what I'm gonna need to do is make sure that my arms as well as my exposed skin is covered. So that could take the form as a long sleeve t-shirt, or maybe even some sunscreen. Now, all these items are able to protect us and prevent us from getting that horrible sunburn. Now, moving on from our sun protection, let's go into layers. You never know when the weather in Colorado might change. For example, 1 hour it might be sunny and hot. The next, a storm might come in. And you always want to be prepared for that storm. So for me, for example, I like to always carry an extra jacket in my bag, as well as some gloves, and maybe even an extra pair of pants and a hat. Now, with all these items, I like to stay away from cotton. Cotton is really good for working out in that it likes to absorb that moisture and keep it in there. That's not so good though when we enter some cold nights. It's just gonna keep us really cold and not get us warm. So when I'm picking out my extra layers, I tend to go for some synthetic material. And you can tell if it's synthetic by feeling it. If it feels kind of fake, it's usually synthetic. So whenever you're choosing your extra layers, make sure it's that fake feeling material. Now, moving on from our layers, let's talk about navigation. Another essential thing that you want to bring is compasses as well as maps. And I know a lot of you might be saying, why do I need a compass or a map when I have my phone? Well, phones don't always work. They might die or might run into a spot where there's no service. And that's when it comes in handy to have a compass and a map. Now, when you have your compass and map, make sure that you know how to use it and you're not just bringing it for show. If you don't have a map, you can always visit a visitor center, and they usually tend to have a map for you. Now, our next essential item that we're gonna wanna bring is fire starters. You're always gonna wanna have two. Me, for example, always bring a lighter as well as some waterproof matches. Now, not only do you need a fire starter, you usually wanna bring something to light on fire. You never know what kind of elements you'll be hiking in. It might be real damp and you might be really hard to find some kindle. So I tend to bring just some dryer lint that I got from my dryer. That usually lights on fire like that, and it'll be a good starter for your fire. Now for our 7th essential item, we need to bring lights. It can get dark pretty fast out when we're hiking, especially when we lose track of time because we're having so much fun. And nothing stinks more than hiking in the dark. That's why you're always going to want to have a flashlight. Now this could be the form of a regular hand flashlight, or for more of our advanced hikers, it could be the form of an actual headlamp light. Now, when you're bringing your flashlight, you always want to make sure to have batteries with that flashlight. A good rule of thumb is if you have one, you have none, meaning that you're going to have 2 sets of batteries. You don't know how long you're going to be out there, and those batteries might not last that long. Now, moving on to our 9th item, a knife. Now, this knife can be a very dangerous weapon, so if you do bring one, make sure that you're trained properly with it, as well as having permission from your guardian to bring it. But a knife can help you out in a lot of situations, not only for self-defense, but also mainly as a tool. You never know when you might need something sharpened or repaired, and when a knife might come in handy. That's why I always carry just a simple 2-inch blade on me, just for simple quick fixes and stuff like that. Now, rounding up our 10 essential items is the item I feel is most often overlooked, shelter. Now, shelter doesn't have to be anything too fancy. It really has to be just something that covers your head. Now, this can take the form of a trash bag, or maybe even a simple rain poncho that you get from Walmart. Or if you're looking for something a little bit more advanced, you can even bring a tarp. Now, the one thing all these items have is they provide shade as well as protection from the elements. That's the one thing we're really looking for when we're dealing with shelter. Now, those were our 10 essential hiking items that we should always be bringing whenever we're going out and hiking. Just for a quick review, those are water, food, first aid, sun protection, extra clothing, as well as a fire starter, some lighting, a map and a compass, and a knife and shelter. Now, just because it is social distancing time does not mean that we can't responsibly go out and hike as well as enjoy our parks, as long as we do it with consideration to others as well as distancing ourselves from others.